We all know that one guy who like uses Vim, or you've seen those like memes online of that one guy who uses Vim, and it's all like, oh, well, like I only use the keyboard, and it's better because I can like use these hotkeys and this and that. And as much as like it can kind of be more useful for those things, like yes, it is a little bit faster. A lot of where Vim actually gets its advantages from is from being a little bit more programmatic and how you can kind of work with text. And so to kind of demonstrate that and to show you like an actually useful use case where Vim kind of triumphs over other like methods of doing something, I have pulled up this example. So recently I was moving my resume from Google Docs over to Typest because as much as Google Docs is like kind of great and free and it syncs everywhere and I can write notes on it, like I cannot, I just cannot deal with like updating the formatting or having to like omit sections by just deleting them out of a document. That kind of kills me. And so I was kind of doing that and I was like, okay, well I've got all of this experience here, let me just like copy it and like paste it. And immediately like all of this kind of just looks like nonsense inside of here, right? Like it's really hard to read just from like a text standpoint. It's like not very clear how you would like turn this into some kind of like formatted or like into some kind of like structured data, let's say for like types to read. So let's say we had an even more extreme example though, where you had like Karen from HR who has been recording all of the invoices for like whatever company you work at, like send you a literal like Google Doc that just has like a boatload of entries kind of formatted like this, but there's a bunch of them, and so it's not something you could just like vibe parse and that you throw into chat GPT and say like, hey, like make this into like make this like pretty for Typest or like whatever, make this good for like a SQL. So yeah, you've been given that, and it's like, okay, well, how do I like actually format this now? I'm not gonna go through by hand and like edit all of these, obviously. So you have like two choices. You could like write like a script to do it. Like it could be fairly practical to do this with like Python, or you could do it a little bit more visually with Vim. So that's what we're gonna do here. So first things first, we've got this kind of we've got like blocks inside of here. Let's just analyze the anatomy for a second. We have the company name, we've got the role that I was in, along with the date, and you can see here that there's like a delimiter with this like or symbol that'll be useful to like pick up on for like where's the start and where's the end of like a single entry, because there's an arbitrary number of like points listed below it, which when you copy it out, just kind of show up as like lines here. So like it's kind of hard to be like, okay, where do I get to the next thing? So we can actually just search for that or symbol, and you can see that like gives us a good delimiter to like walk through these. Actually, let me make this bigger for y'all real quick. How's that look? That's better? Nice. So what we could do is we can actually record a macro to turn one of these blocks into like structured formatted data, and then do that for every single one of the blocks afterwards. So let's start with that. So I'm just going to record QA, my actions. I'm going to hit 0 to just make sure I'm starting at the start of the line every time I do this action. Then I'm just going to go visual to that or symbol, walk back one, yank that on a new line, paste that, and make it lowercase. We'll insert let before and an equal sign with a opening curly bracket afterwards. So the reason you can see there's like a space in the middle of this variable name, which is like not going to work. But we'll go back and edit that later. Like this is just to get like a minimum thing down and working. We don't really need it to be like anything too crazy. So I'm going to go down one line, insert a tab, and go like, let's see, this is company, so we'll just go like company equals, start some quotes, then I'll find that or symbol again, X to delete it, walk back one, insert a quote and a comma, just like that, Then we've got the role next, so we can just go role equals quote. Then it might be a little like hard to see like where what am I supposed to pick up on to see like software development intern, like how am I going to get to the end of that, and there's actually a tab at the end of this, so I just hit slash and then tab to get there. So I can insert quote comma enter to get to the next line. Then now that I've got down here, I can just go date equals just like that. Now we've got the points below that, so I'm going to make a new variable that's going to be a list of points, and so I'm just going to search for that or symbol again to get to our next entry, and at the bottom of that I'm going to insert a bracket to kind of close out these points, and then another bracket to close out our kind of let clause, and that should be it. Right there is everything that we would need in order to kind of just get this into a base format we can work off of more. So I'm going to run that for all of these by going :G slash to and this is going to find every single line that matches a certain pattern and then apply something on it. So we can just go :G slash or to pick up on that or symbol. Then we can just go normal at a. So this is just running that macro for every single line that has this or symbol on it. So as you can see, it's doing a lot of like buzzing around here, just running things. We're just gonna let it run for a second. Again, we made a lot of lines inside of here, and at some point, yeah, it's gonna hit the last line where it can't find an or symbol at the bottom. So we're just gonna go down there to that last line and insert. Holy moly! I'm gonna close and reopen this real quick because that is running really slow. And there we go. And now formatting's working again. So nice. We kind of got this started in terms of getting it formatted. Now the next thing we could do is maybe like format these like points entries right here. So we got these points. Let's say we go to make another macro. We're just going to use the same thing for all of this. It's all going to be record a macro, run it for everything that has some matched symbol here. So I'm just going to find that opening brace, and we'll go like visual inside of here. I'll make that a visual block, and then maybe just insert tab opening bracket like that. And then we'll do a similar thing. Make it a visual block, $sign to make it so it's the end, append, closing bracket, and a comma. Just like that. Now, what we could do is :G slash, because it's already got points searching, we can just omit that, and then just run normal at a. It's gonna spin, and nice. There we go. Now we got all of those formatted, except this first one we kind of forgot to undo those changes on it, so we could just run that again. There we go. Nice. So that is all formatted. Now we need to get rid of the spaces inside of these names right here. So let's say we searched for like #let. That's going to be our search term here. What I'm going to do is go QA 0 word visual 2 equals walk back 1 :s slash, and then we can do backslash. This is a weird one. $D to make sure it just stays inside of our like selected area for this like find and replace thing. And then we just type space slash underscore slash G to do it for everything. So that looks good. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run that :G slash #let slash R Okay. It's going to run this a bunch of times. 699 substitutions. Nice. Now we can see we've got one last name we need to fix, actually, because there's some commas inside of here. So I'm just going to do this like super simply by doing :g / hashtag let, and then for each of these lines we're going to go normal, and then we're just going to go 0 to get to the start of the line, find comma x, because we only have one comma inside of each of these lines that have that. Obviously you'd probably do a similar thing to like the replacing spaces if this was a little bit more sophisticated, but this is just like an easier way to do this. So there we go. Now all of that is formatted nicely. I'm gonna write and quit just so we get, formatting to show back up again. It all looks nice. So we've got each of these like variables defined inside of here now, and let's say like you actually wanted to pull that all into a list at the bottom of the file. So say like you could import it somewhere and have like all of those variables. So what we could do is just go :g / hashtag let to get back onto that line, and I'm just gonna go normal yank or yy yank Jesus yy to yank that line, hit G to go to the bottom of the file and paste that line at the bottom there. So we just run that. It's gonna blow up our formatting again, but now we could go visual ? Closing brace to go up to the top of all of those lines that we've now pasted down there, and what we could do is just run :s to find that like ending piece right there, and just replace that with nothing. Just delete that out of there, so we don't need those, and those are kind of messing with things. So now what we could do is add that in there, ? doop. And then we could do hashtag let, in which we call this like long list, or like complete list. How about? And there. Now we can just go to select everything inside of there, like visual inside of this. I'm just going to make this a visual block. Go to 0, walk that out. We'll get rid of that. Now we could indent it, go add some commas to the end of that. We could even like collapse it if you wanted to, just like that. So visual around that and then collapse it. Now it's one big old line at the bottom if you really wanted that. I think, well, that's obviously a lot cleaner for a long list like this. Now let's just make sure everything's like still looking right in terms of formatting. Let's go to the bottom. Yeah. So now we've got our complete list of all of these, and one last thing that might be bugging you is you're like, why is there like, no there's no spacing between anything. So we could just go like :g / hashtag let / normal, just capital O. Let that run. We'll delete the one off of the top when that finishes. Now we've got spacing in between everything. I'm going to delete that top one. And there we go, magic. So we've made, formatted, even indexed and created a list out of everything inside of here, all programmatically. So we only had to do it once on our end, and Vim handled the rest for us. I'm sure that looked like a little bit overwhelming if you've never really messed around with Vim before. Trust me, it actually gets like fairly easy if you just stick with it for a little bit. I hope this was useful, helpful. kind of inspired you to maybe check this out and use something besides like ChatGPT to like